Welcome to Transitional Objects, a podcast about grief, friendship, trauma, healing, and the strange cosmic magic that shapes us when we're not looking. We're two longtime friends and therapists who've been through some things, a lot of things. And now we're talking about the big stuff, what we carried, what we let go of, and what we're still very much figuring out. Unfiltered, occasionally spiritual, always real. Think of it like therapy, but with more cosmic detours and fewer billing codes.
Hey.
Hi,
Welcome back.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Here, transitional objects once again.
Yes. It's always good to see you. It's been a couple weeks.
No, it feels like too long.
I know. It does. It really does feel like too long with the shiz going on in the world, and particularly where I am. I don't know if you're sensing the vibrations, but I'm here in Maine, outside of Portland, Maine. And so this episode is going to bump up against some of the local stuff that's been vibrational throughout, I think, I'll just say it, world. So yeah, what's our topic today, Dubs? Our topic is the therapist interrupted when the helper's life is unraveling. And I just want to caveat that, yes, absolutely. Therapists are human beings. And
Surprise!
we're not like these phantom pseudo robots that don't live normal lives or regular out of the session lives.
Yeah, we're not these perfect people who have it all figured out.
Totally.
Know all the answers to every possible problem in the world. We do not.
And to that note, if you have gone this far with transitional objects, you will know that. Hearing
It probably doesn't need to be said, but
yeah, right.
in case you're new here.
In case you're new here, you're just picking up
We
today.
don't have all the answers. Surprise.
No. And disclaimer, we don't have all the answers. Disclaimer, this is not therapy. It is a podcast. We are therapists. But yeah, it's when the helper their life is unraveling. But I wanted to add a little caveat where, yeah, it's life unraveling, but also in a regional, local level, systemic level, the town, the state, the country, the world is unraveling. And so,
Or just your personal life.
yep. Or your personal life where it's so specific to you.
Yes. Yeah. So, and in any situation where your life or your surrounding world is disrupted, chaotic,
Right.
impacting you in some way, like what does that look like, or how does that translate to your role as the helper, as the therapist?
Yes, right. Exactly. Why I brought up where I am, I'm in Maine. We just had this surge of ICE, immigration control, come into Portland, Maine, surrounding towns and such. And so it was vibrationally here really fraught and really traumatic. And not only was I feeling that, as I was holding that vicariously with many, almost all of the people that I'm seeing in my practice. And so just to name the space, keep our ethics in line when you're in a session with someone who is feeling this similarly to you about the same things going on outside. It just, I think it was this past couple, well, I guess these 3 weeks, I don't know really how many weeks it's been, but it's just a testament to that therapy space, the therapy role, what you want to keep in line in those boundaries and those ethics, and also when to become a human. And I put more of my human hat on in session with folks in the last 3 weeks. Not that I don't put my human hat on, I'm always a human in session, but mostly just meeting them where they're at and also disclosing where I'm at too. Oh my God, therapy faux pas. Not really. It's just being a human. Using it.
Something that your clients needed, your disclosure?
Well, a lot of them asked.
Like how you
You know,
felt about the situation? Is that what
yeah,
you're,
how I'm doing.
oh, how you're doing?
How are you doing? How are you holding up? Oh my gosh, I can't imagine what you're seeing, hearing, holding. And it's again with boundaries. I'm not going to be talking about specifics, but it's like, yeah, like it is a lot. It is a heavy weight that seemingly it's like we feel alone in it, but we're not alone in it.
Mhm.
And so I would answer that truthfully, transparently.
Would you, so if you weren't doing well with it, would you answer that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And how did they respond to getting the honest answer, whatever that was?
It depends on the person. Depends on, yeah, where we are in the session. It's all very personalized and specific to the person, the session, me. But usually, like a sense of warmth, like an opening, like a sharing of a vulnerability, which is actually also brushing up against one of our previous episodes. It's always a tricky thing, a graceful thing, a very intentional thing when it comes to disclosing about self as a therapist with your patient client. And so why I say it was a testament the last few weeks is because there was a lot of disclosing, but also keeping boundaries to that. There's a lot of gauging and again, like using your clinical instinctual slash intuitions with the person you're in the space with, right? So yeah, I hope that can answer the question. It's been complex, really. There's not a lot of that's kind of like where a lot of our sessions have been is like there's not a lot of words to describe the tyranny, I guess. It's been kind of tyranny, trauma, tragedy right outside our doorsteps. And also just the timing of this is not lost on me, which is in Maine, okay? In New England states, Maine is one of the coldest ones, and we got hit with 2 feet of snow. I mean, below zero temps, and here we are, really ironically, ice is here. So
Yeah.
it was just very bitter and grim and fraught and tyrannical in the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you have, I'm sure, a lot of feelings about it. Like, so, and it's just disruptive to whatever your normal functioning
Yeah.
might. So does that make it more difficult for you to show up for people in your role?
That's a good question. I did not have a hard time showing up in the therapist role, right? Like the clinician role. I didn't. I think it's an interesting, I like the questions you ask because now I'm like, oh, where did it show up? I guess the hardest or the worst is outside of the therapy room in my normal waking conscious life, right? At home, being a parent, being a wife, doing the chore. That's where it hit me most
Hmm.
because it seemingly I was living my life doing the normal, I'm using normal a lot, like the routine things that we all do to maintain a home and a family and et cetera. And seemingly while doing those things, it hit me the hardest. What were the things that hit me? Well, I think the disorientation, the privilege, the guilt, the remorse, the paralysis. What do I do? Is I'm not doing enough? Is there like, am I missing something? Just a lot of things all at once. And I know that's sometimes how we exist overwhelmingly is feeling many different things at once. And that's when I would feel these vibrations is more when I was outside of my own office.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I wonder what that, like how does the shift happen? I don't know that you know the answer to that, but you're in personal life, then you're in professional life, and the way it impacts you shifts in some way.
Yeah, maybe holding space for others that are, again, it's like holding space for others that we're naming the thing. We're naming the thing. We're feeling the thing, holding space. I'm holding space for the thing. And so there's a focus and an intention on the thing. Whereas when you leave that space that is so like intentional, it's through the mundane is what causes the disorientation. It causes an incongruence of what's happening outside your doors and then what's happening inside, which is seemingly
Yeah.
got to make dinner, got to.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Again, see, words are hard to describe the shift, why there's a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only so much I would talk to my husband about. And of course, that's not a therapy session, right? So it's a different, there's a subtle shift that happens when I leave being a therapist to being a non-therapist.
Yeah. So it's making me think, I don't know that I have the right words for this either, but it's
Yeah.
making me think of a totally different time, but in our lives that involved both of us when I was, I think at the time I was in my internship for my therapy internship. And this was the time for you when Sanad was dying.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that this person even existed. And
Yeah.
until you sent me a text one morning, I think that you were, long story, but I'm in the hospital with this guy I've been dating and he's dying. And that was the first news of that I had heard. And I think it was the same day, or else it was the next day. I don't remember how long you were in the hospital with him and the timeline of it, but it was right in that area where I was working and was going to see one particular client who I didn't really like that much. They were a difficult client, but I was scheduled to see them at that time and they could live far away. So I was driving for a while. And actually I've told you this, like this was the time he died and I felt it. I felt when he died. And I remember looking at the clock and then that was later confirmed because I saw what time it was. You told me later he died at this time. It was the same time. But my point being, I was driving and I was just very upset about this whole situation and I was distracted and I was mentally and emotionally with you, but I had to go see this client. And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to see this client. I didn't want to have to work. But the moment I arrived there, this session just unfolded and it was the best session I ever had with this client. And this was the first time this happened because I was a baby therapist at this point, but this was the first time it happened. And I learned something about when something really big is going on in my life, I don't want to necessarily show up in work, but when I do, they've always been the best sessions. These things have happened repeatedly. And again, this is where I don't have the words for it. I don't know exactly what or why that is, but it feels like there's this like opening, like there's this sounds a little cheesy, but like this like heart opening connection with the other person and whatever might be my barriers under quote unquote normal circumstances. Like, I don't know, what if I say the wrong thing or whatever those things might be, they just go away. For me, it doesn't matter in that moment because somebody I care about is hurting so much. Able to put those things away and be present with the client in a different way than I might under different circumstances.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's so hard. You're right. It's so hard to put that into words. And it's such a phenomenon. And it is something that I now know about myself. And I bet hearing you say that you now know about yourself in this context as a therapist, a clinician, a helper, whatever we call ourselves. Yes, there's a perspective shift that opens our hearts and our like more empathic attunement, more headspace to like truly see the other on the other side, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so, yes, I've always, it's just good to hear someone say that out loud. I can remember going through my divorce and doing some of the best work. And I'm like, how the fuck am I pulling this off? Like, I'm like,
Same.
what is, do I just need to be going through traumas and tragedies to do that?
Yeah.
No, the answer is no. But it started to freak me out a little bit. I
Mhm.
trusted it,
Yeah.
but what does this say about me? At first, I judged it a little bit.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that, judging something that may be different or something that doesn't make sense that we in the moment. But I remember to myself asking, what does this say about me? You know, why is this happening when I have to be going through something or someone I love or care is like, but I think after hearing you talk about that, there is something, whether it's a phenomenon or not, it's perspective that just shifts naturally, organically, automatically.
Yeah. Well, it gets us out of
Heady, cerebral.
yeah, the like fears or doubts or whatever stupid shit we might have going on for ourselves that isn't really real, but we can get so trapped in that. It
Yes,
gets us out of that, I think, and just more into whatever is present in front of us right now.
totally. Yep. So glad you named that. And as we know that I was with Sanad when he died, and it was so surreal. I've never seen or watched a person die before, and someone that I was intimately involved with. It was just, it was all so fast and such a blur. But I was actually in the hospital with him for 7 days. Like it was
Mhm.
a solid week of watching him. And I remember when he did die, I texted you, I texted the people that my parents and everything else. But I remember walking out of the hospital thinking, nothing matters. Nothing is ever going to be as big as this. Like nothing, who the fuck cares about? And since he passed, I do care, still carry a little bit of that. And I remember like it was with me for a while. Lots of other, not the most healthy coping, but I just remember like, how does one even wake up the next day after this? And it's almost like reteaching your psyche to exist,
Yeah.
knowing that you just witnessed that. So, yeah. So I just remember, obviously, it wasn't in the context of being a therapist. It was in the context of being a human being, losing someone you love or was very close to, like that. The world can just look so differently.
Yeah. Everything is different.
Everything is different. The shift and the way that you think about life, things, it's just so different.
So you were a therapist then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I was doing court ordered, like psychological evaluations. I was working with, I think I said, yeah, I was a 0 to 5 endorsed child specialist that was really essentially like assessing and evaluating drug exposed
Yeah.
infants, newborns, toddlers, those types of things that were taken away from their biological parents, placed in whether it was like extended family or foster care, usually foster care. And so I remember having to do that,
Yeah.
which is already that work is also you see a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
that work too.
How soon did you go back to work
It was
after?
like I remember I had bereavement. They only gave me like 5 or 6 days.
That's generous.
Yeah, I know that was actually. And also, I remember the nature of my job. I would travel a lot. I was hardly in the office because I was going all over LA County. And so I remember I just checked out. I didn't do much because I was just in the hospital. But yeah, it was an interesting transition after that.
Do you remember how you were as a therapist?
Well, it was more like I think the position that I was in at the time, I wasn't in private practice at this point. I was still, I don't even know. I think I was maybe 30. No, late 20s. I think it was serving me because the nature of the job I had, because it was I didn't sit down on a weekly basis with these people. I had a protocol that was very, not sterile, but I couldn't go as deep with people. I was assessing people. I was evaluating people. I was evaluating placements. I was reporting at court. So it wasn't like a traditional therapeutic setting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit different.
Which honestly, I don't know. That's actually a good question. I don't know how I would be in a more traditional therapy client/patient relationship setting after losing a boyfriend. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not that I lost my ex-husband, but I was going through a divorce. That's also a loss.
Yeah.
Different loss, but like I said earlier, that's when I did my best work. So
it's interesting. I'm trying to think of the big personal deaths I've had were before I was a therapist. So I don't have that experience of how I would show up. I can't imagine that I would be able to. But I am thinking of maybe one of the biggest things that happened in my life personally or during the time I was a therapist was when I was going through the whole fertility journey and just all the stuff, like having to go to these doctor's appointments at some points on a daily basis and then go to work and having to take all this medication that was messing with my hormones, so messing with my emotional state and then all the losses associated with it, just the whole thing. And I did in hindsight, I wish I had changed my work schedule or how much I was working during that time. But at the same time, I do think that I was able to be really present with my clients during that time and able to be a good therapist. But now that I'm thinking about it in this lens, I know that contributed to burnout, but I'm wondering if, separate from all of the stuff related to the fertility stuff, that for sure contributed to the burnout, but if also just being on that level with clients, so many clients, and for such a long period of time, if that played a part too in contributing to the burnout, like being that open, like that vulnerable, connected to person after person after person after person, day after day, week after week, just for such a long period of time. I don't know. This is just occurring now, but how that might have impacted versus if I was under normal operating system and still showing up as a therapist, but just that those walls, conscious walls were
right
there.
Exactly.
Because I wasn't going through such a traumatic thing.
When you're saying that, I think of like kind of different, but with that kind of sustaining level of vulnerability. And it's like that, what do they call that? Oh, compassion fatigue. Is there a threshold for vulnerability?
Yeah.
Is there a threshold for empathic attunement?
Is there? Yeah, I don't know.
I know that's a great question to ask. Also, it's like probably based on from individual to individual, right? But also, I think as we're talking about this topic of when the helper, when the therapist becomes their life unraveling, or they're going through like a trauma in their life, is there something to be said about when it's too much? And also, it can be contradictory too when it's like a slow burn. It's like the good hurt. It's reminding me of the good hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's good overall. Like this, it's a good thing, I think.
Exactly.
When we can be more connected with our clients in that way,
right.
We have those walls down. Like that's great.
Right.
But do we have unlimited capacity for that?
That is such a good question. Anyone out there?
Who knows the answer? Give us a call.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you know?
I don't know that my gut instinct is to say that no, we don't have unlimited capacity for that.
Right.
Because it's such depth.
It's such depth.
Yeah, that maybe we can't do that forever without pausing.
Yeah, and get coming up for air.
Yeah.
Taking a breath.
Oh, that's a good metaphor. It's such depth.
Yeah.
We have to come up for air every once in a while.
That's true. Like beluga whales.
Just like beluga whales.
Like blue whales.
Yeah.
Blue whales are the largest mammals. And what we are learning is that well, I think all whales, I could be wrong, but I think the blue whale specifically can be underwater, I think, for hours. But they do have to come up for air. Yeah.
That is a really good metaphor.
Yeah. So we're posing a lot of questions right now, and as therapists, as just non-therapists, I think it's good and it's helpful to name these things out loud in this kind of, again, like off the cuff, unfiltered way.
Yeah.
Because I would have never been able to name it like you named it. And then I think hearing you name it, I was like, oh, yes, this is a thing.
Yeah. Huh. So where my struggle is, though, is I don't want to. Like, I don't want to do it. When my world is hard, I don't want to be a therapist. Like, I do still show up in that way, but to get into the office, to get in front of a client is like an internal struggle. Like, but then once I get there, then all that falls away and I become.
So there's resistance.
Yeah. And I become the therapist that we're talking about. But but it's just exhausting to get there.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. And when you said that, I'm like, oh, it's like going to the gym. It's like hard to get there. And when you do, oh my God, it's like what opens up. Look at that. I could stay here for all day, all night. But yes, I think talk about transitional objects. There is such a transition when we are going through trauma, like in it, when we're going through something hard, when we're going through something challenging. I think for me, I'm just going to speak for me, my transitions are harder.
Yeah.
It's like I can get really stuck. I can get really paralyzed in it. And then to think about transitioning to something that would normally be fine, is really freaking hard for me. And then again, yes, to like agreeing with you when I do the thing, and I think, yes, going to work, it's like, oh my God, thank God I got my ass here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. So we're naming things for each other because you named that. That's what it is. It's like the transition of getting to the next thing. That's the hard part because same. I can get so stuck in the experience of it.
Yes.
And this actually, for me personally, points to what we were briefly talking about before we started recording, is just everything that's going on in the world. And I've said many times now, I'm avoiding social media. And so with that comes some avoidance of seeing everybody's commentary on whatever might be happening at this moment in the world. So I don't have that in my face. So I'm not as exposed to the stuff that's happening in the world as I was when I was on social media. And that's a conscious choice that I've made. And the choice for that, or part of the reason I've made that choice, is because I've recognized for myself when I am exposed to those things and I see nonstop all day long everything that's happening in the world, I get stuck in the drama of the emotions surrounded with that. I get stuck in the injustice of that. And it's really hard for me to do anything in my life beyond that, being stuck within that situation.
Yeah.
So I've chosen to drastically limit my exposure to whatever is happening in the world so that I can live my life from a place that feels, so that I can show up as a therapist and be that for other people, so that I can show up in my life for myself and for the other people in my life from a place that feels better to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes so much sense. Just add a little humor here. Like this is also, even when we're like maybe not going through, when you stare at your suitcase, you're transitioning.
Yes,
You're
yes.
transitioning.
No, yeah.
You're
It's a
transitioning.
zone. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I've seen you.
like,
I've seen
yeah,
you locked in.
yeah.
I've seen
Mhm.
you in transition with your suitcase.
Suitcase and my massive amount of clothes and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, everything you just said prior to
Yeah.
this. But yeah, I'm just making a joke because this can show up in so many different ways, right? We don't have to be going through necessarily trauma or systemic angst, but it can show up in just like a plain old transition, packing up your suitcase to go to the next place and whatever. But yeah, I think obviously there's different severities of paralysis, feeling stuck in some of those transitions.
But I think that's what we're naming for us. It's for me at least, but and it sounds like for you too. But when these big things happen either in our personal lives or in the world that's surrounding us, for me, I think for you, it's so easy to get trapped in that experience, right? And that's for my brain, it's hard. I know at some point this will change, but in my brain, this is lasting forever. And I'm stuck in this forever.
Which is such a right. That's really an anxious thought. It's not really necessarily based in reality or rationality. It's an extreme belief that our anxiety is attaching to because whatever it may be, social media, whatever, it's so graphic, it's so vivid, it's so sensationalized, it's so dramatic,
Yeah.
which is also attractive. If we want to talk about like on a neurotransmitter level, it like completely activates the dopamine too. Like, show me more, show me more. Like, what? And so you can get looped in real fucked up shit, traumatic stuff. And because your now brain is locked into it and wanting to see more and to know more, which, yeah, in itself can be paralyzing. Paralyzing. I like that you can do that, know that about yourself, and make those conscious decisions to abstain from certain things that take you out of the present moment. And yes, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
So, la-di-da-di-da, here we are. I mean, for what's going on systemically, there's just lots of divide, lots of hate. Another thing in the therapy room, which is not, if you on all the board exams, is like no politics. Don't at laws and ethics, don't talk politics. And I know we've talked about this before, but again, I think because our administration has we've so gone past politics, it's more about this kind of brushing up against like humanity, like being a human being and being just on a moral level. I think that's just been hitting home in the therapy room. So it's not necessarily talking about politics. We're talking about what is causing and showing up in our bodies. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that's what,
Yeah. And
yeah.
that ethical guideline expectation, like, no politics in the therapy room. That's, for me at least, that's changed. Not never before, I think, then with more recent administration has that ever even been a thing that you would even expect that a client might care about, would even consider asking you. I have had people ask
Yeah.
who you voted for, or
Really?
or indirectly. I've had people indirectly ask,
Wow.
like not
Oh,
straight
wow.
out, but like, I'm trying to remember how it happened. I've had a potential new client say something about, I can't see a therapist who voted this way. So trying to like get information in that regard. And I think I've had quite a few like, well, I don't know who you voted for, but blah, 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 blah. And then talking about their thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that would have ever even been a thing like
I
prior.
don't like, not at this level.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Not at this like very black and white level.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yes.
Yeah.
It is so divided. It is so, yeah.
Yeah. And that's maybe, I don't know that we have much experience to talk about this, but just a thought coming to mind of like, how does that show up in the therapy room? Like if you maybe know for certain that the person in front of you's views on something are drastically different than yours, how does that, in such a divided culture or world right now, what does that do? How does that impact you? How does that impact the client? Can they feel that? Like, what is that?
Right.
These are maybe more rhetorical questions, but what is that greater impact?
Right. Conscious, if you can even, is there, obviously, right? We talk about countertransference. Countertransference is when something in us, the therapist, the clinician, is provoked or feeling something from their client, right? Like it could be anything. And so we have to, as clinicians, look at that and pay attention to that if we can, notice it consciously, right? And so working through some of the countertransference is like so important for the like therapeutic space, therapeutic relationship. So, and then if, I don't know if this has happened to you, but like if the countertransference is, if you can't get through it, if there's no moving through it, then you really have to look at, am I the best fit for this client slash patient? And that is something that we do need to do as therapists. Is really, is it time to refer out? Because I, as a human being and a therapist, they're the two are not able to work together. Yeah.
Work together. Yeah.
So, yeah. But those, these are really good questions, right? Like, yeah, I've noticed I don't know. I've noticed some people just don't talk about it, but in my practice, most do. How do I want to say this?
I would say the opposite for me.
Is that most don't?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if that's wow, this could be cool. Like, this is a region, a state, a age, a gender, what is this thing? So
I don't know.
Well, are we missing anything? Surely we are.
Oh, surely. I'm sure we are.
Surely.
A few things, but
where are all the trolls? Where are all the podcast trolls? Tell us what we're missing.
do we have trolls?
I don't know. I have, well,
the day we do is the day we've made it big.
Honestly, what like platform that is publicized, if you will, right? That doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I mean. It's like, let's round them up.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
I'm making fun, but not. It's the life we live in. And these are the choices you and I are making as, I guess, people who are doing a podcast, which I still can't believe I'm doing.
I know.
But I love it. I get to see you. We get to do it together.
Yeah.
So, but anything like else you want to mention?
No.
As far as this like topic? We hit on some pretty good historical things.
Yeah. I think it's good.
Okay.
We're good. I think we can go back to being therapists now.
Yeah, we could go back to being therapists. Well, it's actually Friday for me and I don't really see folks, so I'm just going to be me.
You're you for the weekend.
Yeah, me for the weekend.
Good. Okay.
It's Super Bowl weekend.
That's true. Mhm.
I don't watch football, but it's a big thing around here. I
Mm.
think the Patriots are in, New England
I-
Patriots. Do you know that? I should know this.
I
should
was
know
going to say the only one I know is, I think, the Seahawks. But if we put those together, Seahawks versus Patriots, maybe that's right.
Not going to make any promises, guys, but this is what we think.
Oh, gosh.
I know.
Football's not our area, but
No, it's really not. The concussions, my God.
yeah.
It's the one sport I won't let my boys play. Sorry.
Mm.
I know. Judge me. I don't care. Come on, trolls, judge me. I'm going to protect those brains. All right.
I think we need to stop.
Yeah, we got to go. Okay. All right. Ciao.
Okay. Thanks for being here.
That's our episode. Proof that therapists can overshare too. If you're leaving this feeling a little more human, good. That's the point. Send this to someone who gets it, or someone who really needs to. We'll be back soon with more stories, more tenderness, and a rotating cast of unresolved issues. And maybe a few coping skills. Maybe. Until then, hold yourself like you would someone you love.